Hey everybody, it's Dr. Mary Gardner with Lap of Love, and we are today going to discuss the pet loss support options that we have available for families here at Lap of Love. And today I have my guest with me. Let me put up your official title here, Kaitlin.
Okay.
Kaitlin, and you are one of our grief coaches here at Lap of Love. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here and talk about it.
I know. I think it's a really good topic, and I know that some families may struggle with grief, may be even a little embarrassed that they that they are going through grief. They might have people that say, why are you just upset? It's just a cat or it's just a dog and things like that. And it is a really big emotional toll to go through the loss of a pet. And we're here to support them in a couple of different ways. So I know that we have 3 options, besides a ton of information on our website. Like we've got what books, are available for children and things like that. But we also have some options to speak with one of our grief coaches. So tell me, what is our first option? I think that would be our group.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell us.
So our groups are definitely the most not valuable thing, but the most popular thing that we have right now. So they're free, which is awesome. And we offer them 6 days a week, except Wednesdays. And you can go onto the website and that's how you schedule. So I'll do a really quick brief thing about that. So you'll go to Lap of Love's website. In the top, you'll see a box that says services. In the left-hand corner, it's like right at the top. Then you'll see it says pet loss support. Click on that, and that shows you, yes, perfect, or that link, exactly.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. So that shows all 3 options. So the groups are the first thing that pops up. So kind of the way that our groups are structured, they're not really structured per se, but we have this beautiful journal, the Arms of Love Support Journal, that if you watched Colleen's interview with Dr. Mary the other week, she talks about it as well. So our beautiful Colleen made this up. We go over a topic at the beginning of group. So for this week, for example, it says, insert a reading here with reflection. So we would just have you talk about whatever reading you find. I was saying if you have lyrics that you like to a song that reminds you of your baby, if there's a TV show that you watched and there's a quote in it that you like, we'll just talk about that in group. But otherwise, people really just share what's on their hearts. Some people don't have a support system. They have no one to talk to, or their support system tells them it's a cat, they shouldn't cry. So they get to come to these groups. There's no judgment. They can say anything that they want, and just know that they're not alone in what they're feeling. That's huge. And then also you can come to the groups and not share. That's fine as well. There's a lot to learn just from listening to other people's experiences and their feelings too, because sometimes it's hard to find the right words for what you're feeling. And if you hear someone else say it, it might click in your head and you're like, that's exactly what I'm going through. So that's the beauty of the group. So you can register for as many groups as you'd like. We always do them on Zoom. Everything that we do is virtual. I'll just give a heads up about that. So our groups are always over Zoom. Definitely try to get in a few minutes beforehand because we only have a limited amount of people that we let in. We like to keep the group small and intimate. So try to get in a few minutes before because we do lock the meetings, again, just for privacy and intimacy. But that's how the groups are. And I love the groups. I get so much out of them. I cry in the groups along with the people that come in. Their stories are just so touching. And it's so nice to know that we have that space for them to come and feel whatever they're feeling and know that that's okay.
Right. And we're all the same, right? Just because I'm a veterinarian and you're a pet, a grief coach doesn't mean we don't grieve ourselves and have gone through this. And a lot of times people ask me as a veterinarian, do I cry during appointments? And, especially because I've been doing this for over a decade specifically. And yes, a lot of times it's because of the stories that I hear and I see how much the dog or cat is loved and how much they're going to be missed. I can't not cry sometimes. And so, so we are definitely involved. And so we got a hello from Charlene and Laura says, thank you for talking about this. It's definitely something to not shy away from. Did you know, Kaitlin, that only 12% of veterinary clinics know pet loss support information or share? A lot of times they don't know that there's something available. And we've only started this year, and so they may not be aware of it. But locally, sometimes there's not groups available. So I know that you mentioned virtual, and I think this is, one good thing about everybody being virtual in the last, year and a half is that it's been able to provide some options like this.
Exactly.
And to have a little bit more comfortable, environment that you could be at home and do this. So you do that a couple of times a week, right? And there's a calendar when they go on, so they can pick a good time.
Yep. For the most, definitely just keep checking that calendar and see what pops up.
Okay, right. Yeah. So if it's noon here, it's not in California. I used to live in California, so I know what it's like to be
wake up early
on the West Coast, and everything's happening on the East Coast. But
exactly.
we have a lot of different options, and as you said, it's free to join, and so it's very helpful. And I know that we've probably had about a dozen people on average.
Yeah. Oh, usually they're, at least the day of the group, they're full. So not everybody may attend, but we usually do have a good solid group that comes. And we do have a lot of the same people that come as well. So there's a lot of value in hearing people who have been coming to the groups for a long time and just hearing how it's helped them through their healing journey, honestly. And it's been so beautiful to watch them through this.
I know. It's so nice to have that support and even consistency. So you mentioned the song or lyrics, and so that the ukulele song with
oh my gosh, I know.
Every time I hear that, I think of my first Doberman I lost. And so that was 10, 12 years ago when I lost him. And now people will play that a lot during a euthanasia. And I hear it, and I'm like, ooh.
Yeah.
So it'll remind me of my own. And now, even though I say I cry, it gives me good memories to hear that. And so it's, okay, so that's our first option.
Yep.
What about our one-on-one call? So I don't want to be in a group. I don't want to have anybody see me cry.
Yep.
I want one-on-one help.
Yes, exactly. So we do have those. Those are kind of scattered throughout the week, so we don't have a specific time on those. Again, that webpage that popped up, that's the best time to see when we have those available. So those are 50 minutes and they're $50. So we do have a charge for those just because they are so personal and just, individual on exactly what you need and what questions you have. And sometimes in a group, it's just sharing, and we give as much feedback as we can, but this way you actually can get more advice or just more of that support that you're looking for. So like I said, those are 50 minutes, but there's a lot that you can talk about in 50 minutes. And we have, again, some people that keep coming back and doing those one-on-ones. They just get so much value out of it. So just to preface, we are not licensed mental health counselors. We're just there for support. So if you are ever looking for counselors or therapists to help you through this and or other grief that may pop up, which is something that's common. If you lose a dog, you might be like, oh, the death of my uncle a few years ago has now tied in one of the same. So we have those resources for you. So if you want counseling and you think that may not be enough, that's fine. Please reach out to us and we will provide you with the right people to get you there. So we always have that option too. But again, we have, families that call in and they're like, I just don't have a support system. I just want to talk about my kitty, Fluffy, that I lost a week ago, and just tell me different ways that I can remember her. And that's kind of what those sessions are. And then, we hear a lot of guilt because they made the decision to euthanize. So we talk through that a lot. And then just how to.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I know that, right? Because I'm the one often helping families through that before and shortly thereafter. So Charlene says she's having trouble with her loss of her baby Buster in June. And some people also may tell Charlene, it's been 3 months now. Yep. Like it's time to move on. And listen, Charlene, I lost my Neo 12 years ago, and I hear that song, and I'm like, oh. And they're always going to be a part of our hearts.
Yes.
And I know that some people need help, even a year after their pet, and maybe that anniversary of the passing is what triggers more grief.
Yeah. Oh, no, exactly. And I was going to say, when you brought up 10 years ago, there's no limit to grief. So when we talk about when other people say it's just a cat or a dog, there's this huge stigma that our society has that we shouldn't grieve long over pets, which I think is kind of, not true. It's grief. It's a loss that has happened in your life. It's a hole in your heart, and you can physically feel that loss. I know that you've gone through it too. I've gone through it. And it's just this empty, deep pit of despair is what it feels like. And if we lost a human, no one bats an eye if it's been since June. No one says anything. They kind of expect you to be that sad, but when it's for a pet, they're like, I don't get it. Why are you so sad? So, and also grief is so messy. It's just, I always say this in groups, we want it to be linear. We want it to have a beginning, middle, and an end. And it doesn't. There's no end to grief. You're going to grieve, possibly forever. And that's just your way of remembering your baby. And again, it was such a tragic thing that happened in your life. So there shouldn't be a timeline. So you're right. We do have some people who sign up for the one-on-ones and they're like, my baby passed 6 months ago and it just hit me. And that's also normal as well. Because you may have been so distracted in your day-to-day life that you didn't even have time to grieve. And then all of a sudden it comes to you. Yeah. And then also, Colleen talks about it a lot. The year of first, like you said, is always hard. Like the first birthday and the first Christmas and things like that. Those.
Yeah. So right. And so Dana says she lost her boy Shadow 3 years ago. Still, I know, Dana. I'm with you on that. Listen, I got my wall of like all my angels and paw prints all over and things like that. And so Stephanie lost her boy Diesel on Sunday and so heartbroken. So anticipatory grief is something that I think I talked about in another Facebook Live, but just, to touch on that real quick, Kaitlin, if you don't mind, because there are those who have not heard that. I think it's good to know if why don't you explain it? You're better than me.
No, of course. So when you go on to sign up for the support groups, we do also have occasionally anticipatory grief groups and then also children and family grief groups. So if you have a child that's struggling with a loss, you just want more help on how to go through that, we have those as well. And so anticipatory, everybody is going to be upset with the loss of their pet, and with Lap of Love, what we've done, because I used to help schedule the appointments as well for the doctors. We get people who call and they're like, it's Monday, but I'm going to schedule for Friday so we can have that time. So at that point, you start, realizing that they're going to leave you and that they are going to pass, their time is coming, and you get to spend all that beautiful time. Anticipatory grief is really, it's just that deep grief and you're already grieving their loss, but it hasn't happened yet. So, that feeling that all of us have after our babies pass, people can have that really deep beforehand. And then they kind of, they forget to spend that time with their baby in that moment because they're just grieving so hard. And so, we've gone through that as well. I had a beagle for 16 years when I was a kid, and we knew that her day was coming. And I just remember sitting there and I was like, I am not ready to lose this dog. I'm just not. And I just kind of didn't spend time with her. I kind of resented her too, because I knew she was going to die and I just wasn't ready for it. And then when the day came, it kind of felt like a relief. I was like, oh, that grief has just been there. And so that's what anticipatory grief is. Everybody's going to be sad leading up to the point where their pet passes, even if it's an emergency and you're on the way to the ER, you're going to be grieving it. But anticipatory is just that really deep feeling and wanting to know how to enjoy that time with your baby too. That might be difficult. So that's what we're there to help you with is, trying to come up with a bucket list for you and your pet, talking through the grief, talking through what you're going to feel afterwards, and just being open and honest about that conversation too.
I love this. We have Janet who's preparing to say goodbye to her love on Saturday, and with so I let go of my girl on Valentine's Day, and so and I think I was going through anticipatory grief for 3 months, but that week before was really hard, and the day of can be, and the few hours before, then the hour before, then the 10 minutes before. It's sometimes not just anticipatory grief, but it's a bit of, for me, it was anxiety. And I was the one saying goodbye to my own dog. It's anxiety. And so weirdly, I have seen, and I've also felt a little bit of, like you mentioned, relief.
Yeah.
And please don't get me wrong. This does not mean I'm not missing my girl. No, but things happen that the anxiety of the moment happening is just, it's gone. Grief fills in, but it still happen. And I also know she's not struggling anymore.
Exactly.
We're doing this because they're struggling, and we don't want them to suffer, and so we have to say goodbye. But to know that my girl Sam is, charming the angels, and like that brought me some comfort, which helped with that anxiety. darn, miss that girl. I miss that smell. Today I walked out my living room and I was like, oh, is that like I smell like a monkey in my living room? I know some of you may have old dogs or cats, and I miss the monkey smell. And I gotta say, we should not be speciesist, because it's not just dogs and cats.
That's true. Yes.
I've had many horse lovers that have felt like they're birds. We help a number of birds every month, and my mother is a bird lover. She got a cockatiel that passed a few months ago, and so whatever the critter is,
yes, exactly.
You know, I've had hamsters and ferrets and bunnies, and you know, they all creep in somehow. You know, even a lizard, or a snake. It is nothing to be that it's just dogs or cats. Chickens too, Cheryl says.
Yes,
Cheryl. Chickens have become backyard chickens have become much more popular, and they are fun. Like so, and kitty cats. I was just reading. Justin said that my wife and I had our cat for 18 years that had just left and was not expecting grief to be like this. I've noticed that too. A lot of people don't think it's going to hit them this much, and or you're kind of like, oh, my cat, you know, I don't, my cat. And without them, I always say there's deafening. The silence is deafening.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Hear them anymore. Just the purr a little bit, or just the little feet on the floor. Or like the smell, like I said, and things like that. So, okay, so we talked. Sorry, I get off track, Kaitlin.
No, that's okay. I love everything you're saying. And I was also going to go back to, there was a woman in group the other day that came for her guinea pig. So know that these are open to literally anybody. So no matter what your critter is, 4 legs, 2 legs, 3 legs, whatever has happened to them, please come. Like, we're here for you.
Or no legs.
Or no legs. Yes, if it's a snake. Yes.
So I had a guinea pig, when I was growing up. I loved guinea pig. Thank you, Jess. Perfectly said. Yeah, like that's exactly what it is. And I sorry, I feel like this is a session for me, Kaitlin.
No, that's okay.
I also like hope for a dream where my dog or cats come back into a dream, because I can like be with them for a little bit. So I don't know if anybody ever has that too. So
yeah, I hear that all the time in group. That people
like, I'll have a dream. I'm like, Goldie came in my dream, and then I wake up. Because I want to like be in the dream for a little bit. So we talked about our free sessions. We talked about the one-on-one, which are $50. So now tell me about this amazing course that you have.
Yes. So it's a 6-week course. It's called the Arms of Love curriculum course. And again, with our beautiful journal that Colleen made, we kind of go off of this. But so each week is a different topic. So yesterday we just started a course, and it was called Why Does It Hurt So Bad? And so we just went through the reasons as to why this grief may be so hard. And I remember you said someone in the comments mentioned that they didn't expect it to be that bad. And a lot of people don't, again, with that stigma. We don't talk about pet death in school. We don't talk about it with our families most of the time, depending on who your parents were. My parents, we grew up with guinea pigs, hamsters, cats, dogs, whatever was floating around. We just owned it. But, sometimes we don't talk about it. And so we don't expect this death to be so heavy. And then it is. And you're like, what do I do with this? Like, how am I going to make it through? So that's kind of what that first day talks about. And then today the course is helping with children and grief, and then also pet grief, because animals grieve as well. And we have a whole section on our website about that as well. So that's just kind of 2 out of the 6 weeks. So the way that the courses are set up is that the first half of the course, myself or my colleague will go through a PowerPoint that, again, beautiful Colleen helped us with, and just talk about different ways as to why this certain thing may be happening, like the children grief, like why children are grieving, how to help them through their grief, and then how to help, just you, or how to memorialize your pet. That's kind of how we end most of the sessions, is like ways to remember them and ways to honor them. And then the huge overlining thing with all 6 weeks is how to do mourning work, not in the morning, but mourning as in grieving, and how to do that and help yourself through that healing journey, because mourning is really like ugly and no one wants to sit down and cry, but it really is so important to do that. And that's a way to remember your pet. And so these 6 weeks gives you that time to come, you sit down for an hour, and the groups are really small too. We keep those smaller than the support groups. And so that's just a time to really talk to us and then talk to the other people in your groups just about different ways to do that morning work. And then that gives you that time, 1 hour a week to do that too.
Okay, so it's 1 hour a week for 6 weeks.
Yes, and it's $149 for the 6 weeks.
Okay, perfect. And the next one is the 29th of September is going to start, because we just started one yesterday, and so the next one to sign up for, it's a small group.
Yeah.
So awesome. I mean, it's so helpful. And let me tell you, morning work, I'm going to admit to everybody that when I cry, it is an ugly cry. Like, I'm wailing, like snoggle is coming out of my nose. And I'm like, what? How did I produce this?
Yeah.
And I don't want anybody around. Like, I am a silent mourner. I kind of, even for when I say goodbye, I like to be by myself and just be present with them. But with that being said, I've also been a part of many parties, if you will, or like goodbye parties. And that's sometimes a way to help memorialize your pet and give them a send off, as we say. But everything is so different. The way you want to say goodbye can be different. And the way you grieve can be totally different. I wanted to talk about also other pets in the house and grieving, and they could grieve too. And they also could not grieve. I've had some that are okay, do I get his food? And I've had some people like almost force the pet onto the other pet, like what I'm saying by like sniff him. And it's just like us, I think, is however they want to grieve, that they should be allowed. But I do worry that there are some that do. There is a percentage of dogs and cats that will grieve for their buddy when they're gone, and to just give them time too. And things. So I love the 6 week curriculum as well. And so that's just an hour a week. That's definitely attainable, I guess.
Yes.
Right?
And we do encourage the people in those curriculum courses, if they want additional support, to join those free groups too, because they don't get the PowerPoints, and they don't get us talking and going over specific tips. And I call it putting tools in your tool belt to help you through your healing. So they don't get as many tools that way through the support group, but they get it from so many other people. And there's I haven't lost a pet recently, so I have that experience, but it's not so fresh to me as it is for listening to other people that come to the group, because it's usually fresh for them. There's the occasional people that it's been a year out, that year first is really hard, but there's something to be said of just being surrounded by people who are going through the same thing at the same time and listening to what they have to say as well. So I love the course. I think there's so much, I get a lot out of it as well, just from teaching it. And so there's so much to learn from that, but there's also on the other end, it's so great to just be surrounded by peers. And we always call your group your people, which they are, because there's no judgment and they always have such good feedback for one another. So if that 1 hour just doesn't seem like enough, you can definitely join anything else that's going to help you.
Oh, I love this. I love it. This is so great that we have this available all across the country. And so wherever you are, this could be available, because there's not always, like I said earlier, a local pet loss support group. But there are, counselors that can help also. So if you do need a mental health counselor, that's, definitely something that we encourage as well. This hopefully should be super helpful. So hi Bill. He said he had 2 cats a while back, and one passed. My one cat meowed all night for 2 weeks looking for him. I've seen that. I really have. I have also seen my one cat that literally was like, okay, now I can lay on mom's head. But we have to be, mindful that of their grief as well. Right. Did I forget to ask you anything important, or does anybody have any questions? They can pop in the question. I'm going to put our little doodad there. So our little URL as well. Again. Is there anything I forgot to ask?
Not that I can think of. I was going to say on the website as well. So that page, if you or anyone you ever think needs a hotline or needs help quickly, we have those available on that page as well. We have lots of mental health help out there for you. And then just, keep clicking around the website. There's different places to find additional resources and articles and just other things. So, but always feel free to reach out to us. We're always here for you. And I was going to say, so I don't know if anyone has a pen or paper, but, if you need to reach us, we have our own phone number or our own email that you can reach us as well too.
Oh, and we will pop that.
In the comments. Yeah.
In the comments. Yes. Do you know that phone number off the top of your head?
Yeah. Well, I have a sticky note.
You have a sticky note. Well, can you read me this? And I'll punch it in.
Yeah. So it's 855
352
5683. Yep.
Okay, so I just put it in there, so it should be coming over in a second. I don't see it on my little screen just yet. Somebody said they feel guilty about their pet that has passed, and I understand that because we sometimes think we let our pets down, but I don't want you to think that you've let your pet down, and it's I like people always say, how can you do this for a living? Go to people's homes. I see are pets that are so well loved.
Yes.
And families that never want to say goodbye. That's why I always say it's never long enough, even if it's been 16 years or 18 years with the kitty cat or 22 years. A couple more days would be great if we could. And it just goes to show you how awesome pets are. Right.
Yeah. And I was going to say too, that we always talk about that you wouldn't grieve so hard if you hadn't loved so hard.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
You wouldn't grieve so hard if you didn't love so.
Yeah.
It needs to go on a mug.
I know. I'm going to make stickers.
I need a sticker for that. I think everybody needs a sticker for that. So I think that's great. Sorry, I'm reading some of the comments.
No, that's okay.
Listen, I think the most important visit for the animal and owners is the new pet visit and the goodbye visit. 100% is for us as vets too. We love to see the new ones coming in. And by the way, a new one doesn't have to be a puppy or kitten. I adopt a lot of seniors, and I just love a new to the family, and then also the goodbye visit. And if we can make it a little bit better, and that's what we hope at Lap of Love, is that we can make the entire experience as best as possible, whether it's before, so our care coordinators, helping with the initial questions, with their anticipatory grief support, the appointment itself, and then also after. And I think what your team provides is really beneficial. So thank you so much for doing all that you do for our families. I love it. And if anybody has any questions afterwards, you can still post them. We'll answer along the way. Thank you so much, Kaitlin. This was
thank you. I'm so glad we got to do this.
I know, me too. I love it. And so all of you that are watching, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
Love your gray muzzles for me.
Yes.
See you later. Bye, everybody.
Bye.